Hey everyone and welcome. Today we're going to talk about leading the one person who is probably the toughest, most complicated person you'll ever have to manage, and that's yourself. You know that feeling when you have the perfect plan, everything's laid out, but the second the pressure's on, it all just falls apart? Yeah, if that sounds familiar, you're in exactly the right place. Let's dive in. All right, so let's kick things off with a problem that I think pretty much everyone can relate to. We are great at setting goals, right? We make these amazing, detailed plans, we know exactly what we're supposed to do, and then life happens. The pressure hits, and poof, the plan is gone. So, what gives? Why does this keep happening?
Have you ever felt like you're literally fighting yourself? Especially when it really matters? It's like this internal tug of war. You've got this clear goal, but it feels like there's another part of you that's just pulling in the complete opposite direction. It is so frustrating, right? But here's the thing. This isn't some personal failure. It's actually more like a design flaw in our approach. And this, right here, this is a huge piece of the puzzle. Our world is just obsessed with speed. Go faster, do more, respond now. But our brains? Well, they didn't exactly get the memo. They just weren't built to handle this much information this fast. Our internal operating system is totally overloaded.
And when we get overloaded, what happens is shockingly predictable. It's like a script. First, our thinking just narrows. We get total tunnel vision. Then, our emotions go through the roof, and we're just completely overwhelmed. That little inner critic in our head, suddenly it's got a megaphone. And willpower? Yeah, that's out the window. It just goes to show you, a great plan is never, ever enough on its own.
Okay, so this brings us to a really important distinction we need to make. The answer here isn't another productivity hack or a new to-do list app. It's something much deeper. It's about the difference between just knowing stuff and actually leading yourself.
See, the problem for most of us isn't a knowledge gap. We have tons of knowledge. The problem is an integration gap, a calibration gap. We haven't connected what we know in our heads with how we actually show up when the pressure is on. It's all about aligning our actions with our intentions, especially when it's tough. The real game changer isn't learning more things. It's learning more about yourself.
And that right there is what we call self-leadership. It's the skill of intentionally influencing yourself, your own thoughts, your emotions, your actions, to move in the direction you want to go. It's absolutely essential for navigating all the chaos out there, especially because, let's face it, most of the time, you're the only one in the driver's seat.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Leadership failure begins with failure of self-leadership. Think about that. Before you can lead a team, a project, or a family, you have to be able to lead yourself. It all starts on the inside. Okay, so how do we actually do this? How do we build this muscle of self-leadership and close that gap we were talking about? Well, that's exactly what the R.E.A.L framework is designed to do. Think of it like this. It's time to install a new inner operating system. But this one isn't designed for just raw speed. No, this OS is optimized for clarity, for composure, and for making conscious choices, especially when everything feels like it's going haywire.
So here it is, the R.E.A.L framework. It's a four-step process. R is for reflection, E is for emotion, A is for awareness, and L is for learning. It's a really simple, elegant practice you can use over and over again to turn your messy experiences into real wisdom.
All right, let's take a quick tour through each of these letters and see what they actually look like in real life. First up, R is for reflection. And we have to be super clear here. This is not the same as overthinking. Overthinking is that chaotic, noisy loop that just goes around and around in your head. Reflection, on the other hand, is an intentional pause. It's where you stop and separate the actual facts of a situation from the stories and interpretations you're layering on top. One creates noise, the other creates clarity. Huge difference.
Okay, next up is E for emotion. And this one might be a real game changer for a lot of you. The big idea here is that emotion is just data. It's not a weakness you need to hide. And it's not an instruction you have to follow. It's just information, a signal from your internal system.
So how do you actually read that data without getting hijacked by it? You just get curious. You ask yourself a few simple questions. First, what emotion is this actually? Can I name it? Is it frustration, anxiety, maybe sadness? Then, where do I feel it in my body? Is it a tightness in my chest, a knot in my stomach? And then the big one, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Is it signaling an unmet need, a cross boundary, something I value? See, you're shifting from just reacting to actually listening to yourself.
All right, moving on to A, for awareness. This step is all about becoming a neutral observer of your own mind. It's about recognizing your go-to thinking patterns. Just look at this list: self-criticism, perfectionism, all-or-nothing thinking. Sound familiar? The goal here isn't to beat yourself up or try to erase these patterns. It's just to notice them. That simple act of saying, oh hey, there's that people-pleasing thing again, creates this tiny bit of space. And in that space, you get to choose how you respond. That's where your power is.
And that brings us to the final letter, L, for learning. And this quote really sums it all up. Learning happens when curiosity replaces judgment. As soon as you stop judging yourself for having a human moment and instead get curious about it, that's when the real learning begins. That's how you turn setbacks into wisdom.
So that's the framework. But what's the point? What's the payoff for doing all this inner work? How does this journey from insight actually lead to different action in the real world?
Well, this is the transformation right here. Before using a framework like this, you might see a tough situation as a problem to be fixed, or worse, a personal failing. But after practicing R.E.A.L, you start to see it differently. That problem becomes an opportunity to learn. That personal failing is just a pattern to understand. An overwhelming obstacle suddenly becomes a source of new insight. You stop fighting with reality, and you start working with it.
And this is maybe the most important takeaway of the whole thing. The goal isn't to fix yourself. You are not broken. The goal is to learn from yourself. It's about ending that internal tug of war so you can finally show up and lead from a place of wholeness and wisdom.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. As you go about your day, your work, your relationships, just ask yourself, what is one area of my life that could really benefit from getting R.E.A.L? What might change for you if you decided to stop trying to fix yourself and instead just started to learn from yourself?